So let's talk about the big news that came out the other day, which is Biden signed an immigration executive order. So let's get some of the specifics, and then I'll break it down for you and give you my take. What Biden's new border action means for migrants. This is in Axios. Migrants arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border will be largely cut off from accessing the U.S. asylum system starting Tuesday afternoon. So remember, Biden recently tried to do a bipartisan bill through the House and through the Senate, and the bill was one of the toughest border security bills we've ever seen. It set a cap on how many people can not only come in but also seek asylum. It brought back a lot of the Trump era deportation rules. We've told you guys that throughout most of his time in office, he kept in Title 42 and remain in Mexico. Title 42 is the pandemic era rule that allowed no due process. You could just kick people out because we have a health emergency. Remain in Mexico is exactly what it sounds like. Intuitively, it's you stay in Mexico, you don't come here, right? So he's had a bunch of right-wing policies in place. Then there were some issues with the courts. Some of them went away. And then they tried to do a bipartisan bill where he does a right-wing crackdown on the border. It was the Republicans who were against that. Now, by the way, the reason they were against it is because in their mind, they didn't want to give Biden a win. Remember, they're all hardline border hawks. They want hardline policies that kick out immigrants. Biden was like, bet, let's do that. And then they were like, no, because they think, oh, if that passes under him, voters will reward him. So they were against it for rank political reasons, not policy reasons. On policy, they actually support it. Okay, so Biden is basically trying to go around them here and say, I'll just do an executive order that does something very similar. They continue. President Biden's long-anticipated executive order, designed to respond to border surges once signed, will go into effect immediately because of the current levels of illegal border crossings, triggering the administration's most aggressive border action to date. Migrants who illegally cross the border will be largely blocked from asylum and could face fast-tracked deportation, according to U.S. officials. Again, we'll come back to that. That's a very important point. One senior official told reporters Tuesday that removal to Mexico or a migrant's home country could happen as fast as in a matter of hours under the new order. Now, the implementation could face challenges. The U.S. will depend on Mexico to take in migrants rejected under the order. While Mexico already receives tens of thousands of Cubans, Haitians, Venezuelans, and Nicaraguans every month under a previous agreement, officials did not indicate that Mexico will expand that cooperation. So now I got to give you some more backstory here. AMLO was the left-leaning Mexican president. He just got out of office. By the way, he had an 80% approval rating. Phenomenally popular. So he's stepping down. He drew some hard lines with the U.S. He didn't let the U.S. push him around. And now we have a new president who was just elected, actually the first female and Jewish Mexican president. She's also a lefty. And this is Biden sort of bullying her around a little bit, being like, yeah, we're going to rope you into our hardline border policies and you're just going to basically deal with it. So this is a big test for her right off the bat, right? Being pushed around by the United States. One senior administration official told reporters Tuesday the removal to Mexico or a migrant's home country could happen as fast as in a matter of hours. The U.S. will depend on Mexico to take in migrants rejected under the order. We already went through this. Congress also has not provided any new funds to help carry out such a shift in process and policy. So this is one legal hurdle that might happen. Congress, under the Constitution, has what's called the power of the purse. They're the ones who decide how to spend the money and where it goes. For Biden to just sign an executive order that involves more spending, that's kind of got to go through Congress. You can't just do an executive order that's like, and we'll spend X amount of money on this. Well, where are you going to get the fucking money from? You can't, via executive order, get more spending. The spending needs to come from Congress. There are certain things you can do through executive orders, but that's not one of them, right? So there's going to be probably a legal challenge on that. The administration is preparing for legal challenges. The restrictions mirror actions taken by Trump, which were struck down in court. Officials pointed to humanitarian exceptions, including exemptions for minors who cross the border without their parents, and the temporary nature of the asylum bar as differentiating factors. Once illegal border crossings fall below a daily average of 1,500 per week, the normal border process with increased access to asylum, would resume 2 weeks later. For migrants who manage to express fear of being removed, the order will also make it more difficult for them to pass what's called the credible fear interview, which is the first step in the asylum process. So in other words, just saying like, I'm scared to go home because we have political problems or economic problems or violence problems or a drug cartel problem, that's not going to be enough to say, okay, you're going to get an asylum here. The White House continues to blame Republicans for refusing to pass similar border measures through legislation that would have also beefed up resources for border agencies, among other things. And they continue to call on Congress to do more to address the historic levels of migration. Legislation is still the only way to permanently address border security and immigration reform, White House Senior Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates said in a memo. Border numbers have fallen drastically from the record high in December and held relatively steady for most of this calendar year. See, that's interesting. So in other words, like, yeah, there's not really as much of a surge as there was not too long ago, but hey, we're still going to do this anyway. Still, with Congress failing to act, and in the face of the summer months when we typically see encounters increase, and at a time when unlawful crossings at our borders are still too high for immigration officials to manage, President Biden is announcing these measures, one senior official told reporters. Okay, so look, what's Biden doing here? It's no secret. Everybody can see the politics of this from a mile away. Biden sees the polls. Biden knows Trump is up in a bunch of polls, despite his bluster, despite them saying, no, actually, I think we're winning and we're doing great. Is he nervous? Is he scared? Is he anxious over what's going to happen in the election? Yes, he is. So what's he doing? Oh, let's just copy a bunch of his border proposals and do that, and then I could pretend to be, I'm Mr. Tough on the border. That's right. Okay. You're never going to out-border tough him. Okay, his whole thing was, fuck immigrants, I'm the fuck immigrants guy. Those Mexicans, they're criminals, they're rapists. I assume some are good people. We're going to build a big, beautiful wall. We're going to put a moat. We're going to put snakes. We're going to put all sorts of stuff. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be tremendous. You're never going to out-tough him on the border. You're never going to be a bigger border hardliner than him. It's just not going to happen, right? But beyond that, hey, jackass, what about all of the things you said in 2020 when you won? When you won, your rhetoric was, oh, the kids in cages is grotesque. We believe in immigration in this country. Immigration is what made this country great. All the hard-working, phenomenal immigrants who came here trying to just set up a decent life for them and their kids. All of his rhetoric was the opposite of this when he ran in 2020. And by the way, he won. So this is yet another area where you're going to put a giant middle finger up to your own base. This is a giant middle finger to your own base. On what planet do you think this is going to help you? Do you think you're going to steal more Republican votes from Trump? Is that what you think you're going to do here? But it's a cost-benefit analysis. How many lefties and base voters are you going to lose based not only on your actions here, but on your actions when it comes to Gaza, for example? How many times can the base get their eyes spit in before they say, you know what, fuck off, it's Jill Stein, it's Cornel West, or it's my couch? Everybody who surrounds him, let me make this clear. He's pretty fucking dumb, but everybody who surrounds him is an even bigger fucking idiot because they don't have the excuse of being senile and having dementia. They don't have the excuse of being 178 years old. Everybody around him is an overpaid Democratic hack whose only answer to everything is, run further right, that'll be good. Go further right, that's how we get more votes. That's how we get more people to like us. Oh, would you look at that? Your numbers keep plummeting even more and more and more every day. Now, I said we'd come back to this point. Migrants who illegally cross the border will be largely blocked from asylum. Let me explain something to you. Asylum is not supposed to be something that can be taken off the table. It's not one like, hey, let's not give people their day in court to have a hearing over this. That's the whole idea of due process, is that there's some things that are beyond the pale. There's some things that a civilized society won't do. One of those things is if somebody comes across and they're escaping drug cartel violence, or there's such extreme poverty in their region that their kids are, have no future, that at the very least, not even saying you have to let them in, at the very least you offer a hearing to see what's reasonable and what's not reasonable. To say we're going to totally override the process and we're just going to kick your ass out. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? So look, when it comes to the border, I've said this a million times, I'll say it a million more. On the issue of the border, I'm moderate. I'm a moderate. I'm okay with having a border. I'm okay with having rules and regulations. I'm okay with having a vetting process. But at the same time, I also want it to be humanitarian and reasonable. And I want it to be civilized. And part of that is We're going to have a hearing. You're going to have your day in court. We're going to figure out what the deal is. We're going to decide if you can stay here and if not, and we're going to make it all work out. What he's doing here is saying, fuck the process, just kick everybody out because la, 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 it's something, I have a political problem, la, 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 I got to copy Trump because I'm afraid I'm going to lose to him, la, 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 la. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. So to say you can't even seek asylum, that's dark, bro. That is fucking dark. That's such a right-wing policy. I don't know if I've ever seen it in my lifetime. And it's Joe Biden who's bringing it to us. It's Joe Biden. So now, by the way, I'll end on this point. I know already the ACLU is suing him over this. So there's a chance it gets blocked. I mean, I don't know. The courts are generally right-wing. They've upheld some border things in the past, but they've also slapped down some border things in the past. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I do want it to get slapped down. You want to know why? The real answer here, this isn't fucking rocket science. It's not rocket science. Step number 1 in handling the issue at the border is you flood the zone with immigration judges. You flood the zone with people who can handle the backlog of cases, who can get through everything quickly and efficiently, give people their answer. It's not that they shouldn't have asylum and they should get kicked out. It's that they should get an asylum hearing right away, give an answer right away, and we move on from there. But instead of sending more money and resources and addressing this in a civilized and efficient way, I'm just going to go full right-wing barbarian. Okay, well, like I always say, you're making your bed and you're probably going to end up sleeping in it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.